So this is not the best camera. I'm using this stuff right here. It's just, you know, some glue. I'm gonna throw some glue on there. You can barely see it, but it's hopefully going to work. Glue. This may not be the right kind of glue, but we're gonna find out. And get this stuff all kind of like, just make some weird shape out of this. I should be working with a different, just fold that up, kind of weird. Oh, that's not gonna work. That's not gonna work. Yes, it will. Let me just rip some. This is sort of okay. And you might think this is weird, but we're gonna add some glue on the top of this as well. And oh yeah, and then grab some black. Let's first make it ugly. And go around a little bit with the black there. Just used a lot of black. Yeah. All right, let's get rolling. Rolling, rolling, rolling. Keep the painting rolling, rolling. Kind of like this. Kind of flatten it out a bit, you know. But not really that much. Make sure I get all the creases and everything painted. Get a little bit of cream sort of color there. And add some, whoop, that's too fresh. Hold on, where's my other one? This one. Andy? Yeah, add a little bit of yellow there. Okay, let's just blurb that along these edges of the painting. And that's gonna be cool. Let's see what this does first. While the brush is still wet, it does some interesting things. To the edges here. This is all going to be very different later. Just sort of lightly brush over the top of this with a bit of paint. Like that. And sort of begin to get our basic sort of color that we're going to be using for this painting. An interesting mix of colors and glue. That's quite a cool mix. What we want to do is leave the black still in there, you know, and as the main sort of background color of the painting itself, and sort of smooth out the things happening on the outside on the lines. Just keep working this color around here. Bring some of this down here. Kind of like this. There, so that's pretty cool. And those lines like that are pretty cool, actually, but you know they're going to disappear after a while because I'll be going over the whole thing with other colors and adding more, and you know, making it interesting. Whatever. It's just going to add texture to the whole thing. Kind of mess up. This is just not sticking very well, but I think it will as time goes on. This just adds a nice cool texture to the painting. See what that looks like. That's looking already very cool. Alrighty then. Looking already cool, huh? Yeah. Huh? Yeah. Sean, huh?
Is this your finish?
No, it's not done anywhere near it. Nowhere near finished. And I need to dry off my hands. Don't be so exact. Just be completely unexact. You know, you didn't foresaw anything. You didn't foresaw anything. That's German for you didn't mess up anything. You made it quite cool, actually. So now it's time to start getting a little bit more detail. I want to work on some details on this, but I really should be letting that dry, actually. But the cats are going crazy. Where is my white? Right there. Okay, time for the plate. Just a regular plastic plate. And a little bit of white in there. Just a little bit of white. take a much smaller brush. Sort of paint across. Having a slight conflict with the still wet rest, but it's gonna work. It'll be very nice. Just sort of don't really care about it, just do it, you know. Not worrying about too much, but you want to leave some of those dark spaces that are below, like deep inside of crevices, you want to leave those in there. And kind of like do color variation along the sides here. Now watch this. Right along this edge, keep putting some paint. See, that's still coming up a bit right there. But we're going to correct that. Just get these edges. These edges are going to be done over and over and over again until I get the effect that I'm looking for. I sort of have an idea. So now I'm taking the larger brush and I'm going to wipe away. Away from the main part. See, that turned out nice. I even need more. A little bit thicker on the white. See, this white's actually already turning to that sort of gold look there. Whoops. Dropped a bit on there. Let's put it over here. So you get your fingers involved. Just get all dirty. Add a little bit thicker white along these edges here. Because I want to be able to see this white. There we go. Yes, look at that. I feel like Bob Ross. Oh, and then you put a little bit here and it's so beautiful. Thank you. Look at that. Well, that's kind of like what it is. These things are too close. There goes my hard drive. That's fine, it just fell in the back. Nobody's worried about that. And then use some of that rub off down here in the corner. And then dab. Whoops. There we go. That's fine. You know, some of the napkin is going to come off, but I'll wipe a little bit of this on there now. Just make sure you leave some of that black. That's the important part. And I don't really want to see exact strokes in here. All right. Now I'm going to take a little bit of red. Okay, that was the rest of that. Didn't really need much. Red, and this yellow is almost empty too. Get a little bit of orange in here, and I'm going to create a little bit of rusty look. If I can. See how this mixes up. Should be an orange. I have a tube of orange, but it's best to get exactly the color you want. So I got a nice bit of orange, and I want to go toward rust. You can see I got some orange there, out of white, red, and yellow. And now if I just add a bit of blue. I'm going to add blue over here and keep adding it. There we go. That's looking awesome. So now I have a bit of a brown, sort of rusty color there. I know the lighting isn't that great, but we're going to add this to this outside area here. Sort of smoothing this out a bit. And let this variation of color really hit. And mix. And then again pull this white over. You know, I have to admit that when I started this, I had no idea what it was going to look like. I just knew I was going to use a napkin. So, this is pretty cool stuff. Yeah. Yeah, so if your trash can is getting full of paper and, you know, whatever, you could find a creative way to use it and, you know, reuse it. Blend that in. I like this rust color. I love the color of rust. And again, pull this white over off the edges. And there's some little pieces of the napkin in here, and that's pretty cool. We like that. Okay, now since this is supposed to be an abstract, I now have to start kind of like destroying it in a cool way. Which I'm also going to get creative with. I'm going to use my, I don't know, I'm going to use this. I use a sort of wide, very thin, I have a set of 3 or 4 of these sort of flat things here. I'm going to take my rust, since I have a lot of it now, and get rust on my edges. I could alternatively paint there and just slap down a strange pattern that I'm later going to sort of destroy as well. But I need to start out with this pattern. So, and I've got something down here. I can extend this by just cutting straight across like that. And very lightly pull this over here. Yeah, I like that. Lay it down right there on the edge and just I'm just barely pulling at all. I'm just like laying it down and letting its own weight pull. So, and that creates a pretty cool effect. I need a little bit more paint in the middle. And keep it pretty flat. You know, it's not going to stay like this. It's going to be, you know, it's going to look different as we go. Add the rest off onto here in the corner. Like that. That's cool. So now I've got some lines. That's pretty neat. You know, of course, it's not going to stay like that because I'm going to use the brush and come back toward my painting off of that edge. And I'll be adding more things to this edge as we go, leaving part of my cross there intact. There we go. And then stick this out. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, so now with that we can remember where the line is, because the thing about painting like this is the layers. We're not, you know, worried about what it looks like right now. We're worried about what it's going to look like later. Yes. Watch this blue. Like I said, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just making it look like something. And if it turns out cool, then it's cool. I like that. Leave that hole over there in the corner. I know it's a little bit hard to see, but I'm letting that brown and that yellow blink through by pulling it back in the opposite direction. One more swipe for clarity right there. That's cool. I like that. So we sort of have a line right there of yellow and some of this blue turning off into sort of like a turquoise color over that way. That's pretty neat. And I dig that right now. So what I want to do is lay these things down. And I have a new tool. It's a, this is a cake knife, basically. Sort of a flat, sort of cake knife. And I've bent it. It was straight, so, and I bent it so that I would be able to use it like this. And I'm going to put a little bit of white on the edge of it. Along this whole thing. And just basically wipe. This is what we're looking like right now. I'll try and avoid the very bright light. But I'm gonna wipe it across this corner. So I have to turn this for you. Like from here across there, like that. Kind of like that. Pull it in a couple of strange ways and kind of like rip it up a little bit like this. Completely random-ish. Sort of random. Cut that edge. See that black coming through there? That looks so cool. You know, I'm not really rub off here on the edge. And if you slap it, you get sort of a cool effect on some of this. Just sort of slap that. Just be mean to your painting, you know, slap it a bit. And wipe it one more time, 2 times, and leave the rest. So I got some color flow, some things empty and some texture out this way as well. That looks pretty cool. I can make slight adjustments in there. You know, sort of put a clean cut in there and then just lightly pull it back. That's cool stuff. Use the edge to create lines right here. I like what happened there. You know, all this inside here is going to change anyway, but I'm just, you know, making the edges look kind of cool. So this is an interesting flow right here. I like how broken that is. That's all messed up. And I'm going to take a little bit of this rust and line the edge of this form here, and then sort of just so I have some of that rust color on the opposite side of the painting, and pull it off a bit like this. That's what's so cool about this knife. And yeah, so I've got some of that. I don't want to ruin the whole thing, but there's some good stuff right there. I could even do a little bit more of that. Pull it all the way down. I actually love that effect. Look at that. Oh man, that is so awesome. Have a couple of these lines in there and then just break them. Yeah. That's cool. And then pull these one more time across that. See, this is what I mean about, it's always about the layers. I can still see the underside, so and I've still got this flow of lines coming out of here, you know. Smooth this out a little bit. You can do so many different things with this, and I really love this rust color, man. There we go. So I think I'm, other than slapping this corner a little bit with that rust, I'm done. Smooth that off right there. Slap it once to the side to give it some texture. That just adds texture. I wish I could show that to you more directly. I'll show you that the bottom part of that with not too much glare off of the light. Maybe you can see it, I hope. So what do you say about that? And now, see, switching back between brushes and not brushes, I can take where that stuff began and pull it kind of like across this line. Very lightly, so it's kind of like spreading along the edges of the napkin. It's still all about the napkin, basically. So we're going to have some rust at the edge of the napkin. And I don't want it to really be exact, you know, just kind of break it a little bit. That's cool. So it kind of looks like it's dripping off of it, you know. That's almost too exact, too many exact lines. But there's other ways to solve that problem. We got this huge tool right here. We can, where do I want to do this? Right here. You can break that and pull it down. Just sort of a couple of interesting pulls or pushes of that paint, so it's not so uniform, you know, sort of break it a bit. Just pull every now and then, because I don't like it being that perfectly structured, you know. There we go. That's pretty cool. Now I can like accentuate that line just for fun. And be adding some of this, so make it even more sort of random on the color. Flip this over because I have some on both sides. Right. Once there, twice there, and once here. That's cool. I like that. So, now I've got this blue rest. I'm going to pull this blue into this little bit of rest here and see what color comes out of it. Mix it up a bit. Because I want to have some rest, you know, a little bit of variation in that color. So that turned out interesting, sort of a bluish neutral color mix. I like that. And now this line that I did earlier is going to get a simple wash of these, and I'll add more other color to it shortly. Turn this around to get the back side, and stamp right there, stamp, throw all of my paint off onto the floor. That's fine. And do this a couple of times on this side. That's cool. That's cool for right now, right? We can also add a little bit texture just behind the brown line to this side to give that a little bit more of an accent. Only to there, as if it was planned, because I don't want to ruin that brown sharp line, or that, you know, rusty colored sharp line that I've got right there. And, you know, no, that's good. I'm going to leave that. And then stamp this a bit randomly to add a little bit more darker color. You want to have your darks and your lights going, you know. This is fun. I got all these tools in my hands. Let's just throw paint. It's amazing. That's pretty cool. Okay, now I'm gonna do some stuff here on the corner. Smooth this out a bit, get a little bit of that neutral on the edge in some places. It just sort of adds, you know, dark and light, and breaks up the flow a little bit, adding sort of a different color mix. Put this in some of the places that have gotten no paint at all. Still leaving that black, but I don't want to have all these perfect lines in here that the paintbrush creates. You know, we want to get rid of that. I don't like, you know, having those perfect lines like that. They ruin that corner a little bit. Okay. So, I think that other paint has dried just enough, these edges right here, that I'm barely going to be pulling anything out of here, yeah. So I'm going to kind of like partially ruin what I just did. And it kind of like using a dry brush on some partially dry paint, it usually does some pretty cool things. To like these edges, gives them some sort of texture there. Ruin that, and then it makes this this down here look so much different, because it's pulling some of the paint off and showing the background that I had underneath it before. So because I'm going the other way, basically. I got some of that rust. Oh, don't do that. Yeah, see, that's cool. Dab this a little bit to get rid of the lines. I don't like the lines. Yeah. That's nice looking. This side just rocks. I'm just tapping this because I don't like the lines. Paintbrushes make lines, and I'm kind of like getting rid of those lines. There we go. That's pretty darn cool. There we go. I like this broken area up here. This looks very cool. Break it a little bit more. Make that rust color a little bit more, less apparent. Yeah. Like that. Gives it a cool blend. There we go. That is some pretty cool mix of color right there. And see, I didn't even plan that. I just kind of like said, okay, I'm going to do this. And sort of just went with it, you know. Add a little bit of that white out of here that's too much to the edges on there. Sort of give that edge a little bit more form where there's too much white right there. Like right there. Pull some paint off of there, put it over here. Yeah, I really love this. This just rocks. Okay, these lines. You know what I could do? Oh my God, that's going to be so... You know what? Here, watch this. I just thought of another idea. This is what I mean about getting creative. This spot is very rusty. So I'm going to dab this paint, but have it really thick in one spot. And get that rust back. Not being so prominent. And then do something I probably shouldn't do with a napkin on there, but we're going to find out if this works or not. Because this side is cool, but it's, I don't know, it just feels a little bit too perfect to me, sort of. We're going to use the spray. Use some... Okay, I mean, it's not really this stuff, right? I'm not doing commercials for that. But, I want to get that spot wet so that it drips. It's not really dripping the way I wanted it to, but I can help it. Why are you not dripping? What have you done? Add a little bit of water on there. Just a little bit so that it drips. It's not creating the drip. So let's help it out a little bit. Not sure why, but I think this color is just generally too thick. Yeah, it's a little too thick. Not sure why it's not wanting to do that. So that looks pretty random. Even if I helped it a little bit with a brush, it's still running off. You can see it when it's dry. It'll look pretty cool. But I think maybe it'll run a little bit better now. Yeah, there we go. Now I got some lines in there. Just on this side. Yes, do that. Go, go. And get this side a little bit more. Yeah, I got a new line running down there. That's what I was looking for. Yes. Maybe get some out of there. I mean, it's not a lot, but it's just that little bit that gives that side a very interesting look. I hope we can see that a little bit. You can sort of see it. Yeah. It's there. It's for sure there. Just dap this a little bit because it's very wet right now. And I can take the dry paintbrush. Well, that's not that dry, but do that and then dap this again so that yellow comes through. I think when it's dry again, I'm going to have to go over it again a little bit. It's extremely wet. So now I have to let that dry. And while it's drying, we'll just wait, because it did do some pretty cool things there. It's just sort of hard to see on my horrible camera. But yeah, I like it. Let me go wash out my stuff. I'll be back in a moment. So how are we looking? We're looking good. So now, this way is sort of down. But I'm going to take some of this stuff here and just kind of pull on it. Just a little bit on these lines here so they're not so perfectly straight. I don't like things being straight. And, you know, I mean, not they're straight, but they don't have to be evenly straight the whole way. I like it that they're imperfect and slightly dragged without ruining the texture of the rest. These are just these little things that we do afterwards that make the whole painting really, really stand out. And then take that little bit of rest and put it down here somewhere on the corner, you know. So that you look at your corners are still a little bit boring there, buddy. So we'll take some of this out of there and sort of add a little bit of rust over into this corner. Spread it out a bit naturally. I have some on the table. And I'm going to add it in the line right there. Make this kind of look also messed up and scratched sort of. I have a couple of scratches here next to this. And then draw this line of scratch right there. And sort of smooth it out with a few taps. But we needed the line there. And there we go. Some scratch. I like that. See, let that background that we had originally show through a little bit. Make this look unnaturally messed up. That's all adding depth. Fine touching. Spread this paint a little bit. Okay, this area is dry. We can't do too much there, but we can scratch it up a little bit. I'm just kind of ruining that perfection. Giving a little bit of that, because the black background behind it really, you know, if you let that come through a little bit, that adds some cool stuff. You know. There we go. So this all looks very imperfect, but still, you know, has a specific feeling to it. Man, I like this. I did not do this. Somebody else did this. Thanks for the tips. Ruin some of this white in here. And what I want to do really badly is add some more yellow to that top. So since I don't have my plate with me, I'm going to use this. No, I'm going to use this. It's a different yellow. Just a little bit. And add a very small spot of brown to it to darken it up a bit. Is that coming through or is that still closed? That's still cold. That is a fresh brown. All right, just a little smidgen of brown to darken that up a bit. Still staying within the color range. So you see I got some brown and some sort of yellow. Mix this up a bit. Giving myself a lighter brown sort of mix with yellow and then just sort of texture this edge. Or these edges. We're going to go through and imperfect all of this later, but this just has a cool effect, man. Get rid of some of this perfected white. That white is too much right there. Keep that flat. I'm a little worried that I didn't put enough glue on there. Swipe some of this edge there with this color. There we go. That's looking a little dirtier. So imperfection. Mess it up just a little bit. Don't want it to be all perfect, but I want it to be there. I want it to still be there in the morning. Somebody said I was crazy. Don't neglect your corners. Add a little bit of brown on there like that. Get rid of some of this perfect white and perfect brown right here. Tap, 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 tap. Let some of that other color come through here too. We just want to make it look like it was not done on purpose. Sure. This just happened over years of, So, what we are missing. What we're missing is a few droplets. Do we need a few droplets? I don't think we need a few droplets. I think that's going to be it right there. And after it has dried, that's too much light. I apologize for that. Something like this. This is so you can see both sides. And I know it's a little dark with all the water that I sprayed on there, but cool. Thank you very much for watching.